What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Human Proof Designs broadcast. I am with Zach today from moneynomad.com. We're going to talk about his adventure in flipping a website, actually, which is pretty interesting, especially because it's a fairly short amount of time, but I'm going to let him talk about that. Zach, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. So yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about my website flipping journey today. I've sold a website now, bought two, both through broker, through private party. So we're going to talk about what I experienced. I had no prior experience to a year ago. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to share what I learned and hopefully inspire some other people to buy a website if they're kind of on the edge.
Awesome. Well, let's actually dive into a little bit into your background. I think it's always interesting to have to let the audience know, who is Zach? Where
Yeah.
are you based? What's life like for Zach normally?
So I live in San Diego, California. I'm an avid saltwater fisherman. So if I'm not behind a computer, you can probably find me out in the ocean, anywhere from Cabo to San Diego, fishing for offshore game fish. So my goal one day is to have a boat with Wi-Fi so I can do my computer work while fishing offshore. So that's the dream one day. In high school, I worked for a local app development company as a designer and got the opportunity to work on a couple big titles, like game titles for Disney, which taught me user experience, not programming or anything like that, but more like design aesthetics. Then that shifted into, I went to school, went to college in San Diego, right by the water, and I actually became a yacht broker. So my day job, if you want to call it that, I sell boats, which has just led to customer experience and it's just some other unique opportunities. And at the same time, that job offers a lot of flexibility. I wanted to kind of diversify my investment portfolio, which is why I got into website buying. I never had the intent to flip. That was just what came of it, and I'm so glad that I did. So that's a little bit about me, a little bit of tech, a little bit of outdoor venture fishing. Yeah,
That's good. A little bit of inside, a little bit of outside, right?
exactly. I think you need a good mix. It's too easy to spend all day inside behind a computer.
So this before stepping into this world of web properties,
Mhm.
was this your first online endeavor to create some online income, or have you done something before? What's it been like in your past?
So about 8 months before buying the website, I found Empire Flippers just as I was researching affiliate marketing. Their name just kept appearing. But at the time, I just thought it was crazy to potentially spend 30, 50, $80,000 on a website. Like, it was a great idea, but I was just like, I don't think that's for me. So I started an Amazon FBA business where I would buy bulk products, put my own logo on them, and then send them to Amazon, and they would sell as Prime products. That business did well, made a couple $1,000s per month in profit. So it was good, but it wasn't like anything crazy substantial. At the same time, I just kept hearing people talking about affiliate marketing and how they built a lot of wealth with affiliate marketing. And again, started to do more research on affiliate marketing. Empire Flippers and these review style websites kept coming up as lucrative investments. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to at least call someone on the Empire Flippers team, hear what they have to say. I think I want to buy an already made website so I can learn about it because I didn't have any prior knowledge. So I didn't feel like I could build something from the ground up successfully. So that's why I wanted to buy something and kind of see what someone had done to build it up.
What was that call like with the Empire Flippers?
It was really encouraging. Like, I got off the phone and I'm like, okay, I need to buy a website right now. And it actually took 4 months or so before I actually found the one to buy. And so every Monday they update their listing. So I was on the marketplace every Monday, 7 a.m. my time, set an alarm and look every Monday. And it took about 4 months. So was that like 16 Mondays of looking. But I was so fired up to find one and just to get get my feet wet with affiliate website stuff.
Uh, it's interesting because you said that you were feeling very encouraged, which of course is the whole point of jumping on to uh, I mean, it's a sales call, right? At the end of the day,
Yeah.
they're brokers, so they need to. That's how they earn money when the transaction actually occurs.
Mhm.
Did it ever occur to you? Actually, before asking that, have you ever heard of the saying? Uh, uh, don't ever ask your barber if you need a haircut because they'll always
No,
say
I get
yes,
it
of
though.
course.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so I sell boats, right? So I already they're in the brokerage industry, as am I. Two completely different industries, but we're still both brokerages. So I had some questions that I wanted to ask, and I asked like some pretty detailed questions that were brokerage related. And just based on their answers, I knew okay, they have experience, they get what I'm talking about. We're kind of on the same page, which is what gave me the confidence.
What kind of questions did you go in asking them?
It was more I would ask questions like how is my money held during escrow? Where are you keeping it? What are the terms on that? What are the terms of migration? Um, when am I when can I get my money back at any time during migration? Like those sort of questions. Like how long is escrow? Basically the terms of escrows. Migration is also escrow, I guess you could call it, so kind of like a house. So I just want to know the exact terms that I would be getting myself into. And
Okay.
and how the negotiation process works.
Okay. Were there any highlights in that conversation that you could share with the audience, kind of that stuck
Yeah.
out for you, and you were saying, okay, that's that makes sense, or I was like, I don't like that, maybe.
So there was I had both actually. So what really made sense to me was that if they migrate the website, once it's fully in the buyer's control, if the website earns 50% less than what they said it would earn, you can get a refund. You get your money back. So if it doesn't perform up to 50, if it performs less than 50% of what it said, you can be entitled to negate the sale. Um, and they don't release your money for like a month. So the seller is in a waiting period. So they hold your money while that like 1 month process is happening. And then once you say, hey, the site looks good, everything was as advertised, then they finally release your money to the seller, which is which made me feel like really comfortable. It's not like day one sales done, your money gets transferred out. There's a 3-4 week inspection period, which made me feel really comfortable as a buyer. And then if they find something during migration that wasn't advertised properly, or a big finding is found during the migration or escrow, you have a chance to get out of the sale if you feel like you need to.
Was that a 3 week area? I mean, that's basically your due diligence period.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. Uh, was that something that's set as a standard for them, or could you make that longer if you needed to? Like, what was that?
I don't know if you could make it longer. Um, it seems like they're pretty flexible on their on terms. So they have, say you only wanted to pay 50% up front and pay the seller monthly. They have a bunch of different negotiation options. So I'm sure that if in a circumstance if you needed it longer, that would be okay. In my case, I felt totally comfortable with that 3 or 4 weeks. Um, and during that time, they're handling all the accounts transfers for you. You really sit back and don't do anything, which is great. They really that's why going through a brokerage is pretty it's a pretty wise choice.
Did you happen to contact any other brokers because there are other brokers that
Yeah,
sell content sites?
I looked on Flippa, just just how their site looked. I felt like it didn't give me like a feeling of security. Um, you could see that there was potentially a lot of garbage sites for sale on there. Um, and then I also looked at some other high-end brokerages, but they're selling like seven-figure sites, which was way out of my league. So that's why I ended with Empire Flippers. I felt secure. and they had a wide range of like price ranges.
Okay, nice. So for you, it was the matter of that solid background, we'll say,
Yeah.
and also uh, lower to mid market type of
Hmm.
deals.
Absolutely.
Okay, so when you were looking for a site, what were you looking for?
Hmm. Yeah.
Did they give you advice on that, or is this something that you were just obviously, if you're going to make an investment like that, I'm sure you're doing lots of homework. But yeah, I want to hear from your mouth.
So I looked at two sites, really looked at and considered buying two sites before I bought the one that I did. And when looking at these sites, Empire Flippers gives you Google Analytics access, profit and loss document, which outlines all the income streams, where expenses are, things like that. So with both those documents and access to the website itself, you don't get back-end access, but you get the URL. You're able to really dive in and answer any questions that, say the P&L, say you see that there's an income stream that's really profitable. Well, you now have the tools you need to figure out, okay, why is there so much money coming in this certain income stream? So I was looking for consistent traffic. Whether that was trending up or down or staying the same, I didn't really care as long as it was pretty consistent. I didn't want to see some big spikes of up and down traffic, like seasonality. I just wanted to see some like longevity and normality, even if that meant it was trending down a little bit, because I was confident that I could either stop it from trending down or even get it to start going back up. I also wanted to see income distributed over multiple revenue streams. Um, I would be afraid if, say, the website only made money with Amazon Associates. I feel like you could potentially be too leveraged, where if Amazon makes a change, and they do nearly every year with their commission structure, you're going to be affected really hard. While if you have five income streams and it's diversified through those, if a program makes a change in one, you don't feel it as much as if you're all in one. So multiple income streams is really important. And then no PBN. I wanted all white hat SEO tactics from the start, so that there was no chance of ever like getting a Google penalty once I purchased it.
Okay, so you said that you didn't care if it was going down as long as
Yeah,
you wanted to see some consistent patterns.
correct.
What gave you the confidence to believe that you could essentially run a turnaround on it? Because you said that you don't have experience in
Yeah,
this, right? So I guess yeah. What made you think that you're going to do that, and what
there was there was
were
two
you going
things.
to do? Okay.
So I found Niche Pursuit Spencer's content about 6 months prior to buying, and I read all of his content, his story, and that just inspired me and gave me confidence. And then secondly, I became a member of Ahrefs, the SEO tool, um, and they have some incredible blog posts and YouTube videos that teach you really everything you need to know about SEO, um, and shows you even how to use their tools. Their tool isn't cheap, but I spend hours a day on their tool even today, and just their content about SEO gave me the confidence. Like, okay, I know I can learn what I need to learn. They cover a wide range of topics. I'm just I just went and tried it. Like I thought I could do it. I had self confidence. I was like, okay, well maybe I'm not going to be able to do it, but at least want to try. I don't want to kick myself forever and be like, why didn't I try?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not rocket science at the end of the day.
No, if you're willing to put in the time behind the keyboard and and be very methodical in what you're doing, you're going to see results.
So you said that you looked at two sites hard,
Yeah.
and obviously one of those sites you ended up taking. What was the differences between those sites that made you lean towards the one that you did end up choosing?
So I actually looked at two and then bought a third. So in total, I looked at three. Um, why I didn't. So the first one, it was in a very competitive niche, and while it had some well-performing articles, I was afraid as those articles lost popularity, I wouldn't be able to create new content and get it ranked where I needed to get it ranked to hold the profitability. The second one, demand can be really, really high for websites in that $30,000 to $80,000 range, where they can sell within a few hours sometimes of being listed. So the other one, I downloaded the profit and loss document or put in my deposit, got all the info, was reviewing it, and I kind of hesitated. I went out to lunch with a coworker, and when I got back, the site had sold. So in a matter of a couple hours of dragging my feet, I had lost it. In hindsight, I'm glad that I did. But I learned from both those experiences is one, do your due diligence, but get ready to move quick if you have to. If you find the right opportunity, you just got to do it, or someone else is going to swoop it up probably.
Yeah, sorry, you you just reminded me of something that I did yesterday where I was supposed to book a flight on Monday, but I didn't book that. And then I looked and I thought to myself, oh, now I have to pay more for a worse time.
You need to
So
make a reminder now so you don't forget again.
exactly. So
Oops.
um all right, so then you looked, so then you've got the site now that you think you're going to buy because you've looked at the analytics there. Actually, how long did it take for you to assess that site that you bought?
15 minutes. I knew, so I, at 7:01, I put in my deposit on that Monday morning. I knew within 15 minutes that it was a wise investment. So at this point, I had already, on the first site that I made a deposit on, I had talked to the seller. Because I always thought that's wise to set up, Empire Flippers will set up a conference call where you can speak to the sellers and ask them any questions, which is just another reason why I felt comfortable using them. Well, so I went to set up a call with this seller on the site that I really wanted to buy, and he said that he couldn't do a call for like 2 days, just because of his schedule. I said, well, I don't want to lose the site. I knew that it was good. Just looking at the P&L, the traffic, the niche, things like that. I said, well, you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here and not speak to him before buying it. So I looked at the P&L. It kind of looked like he knew he was going to sell it a few months prior and did some things to ramp up the profitability just to get a little bit higher sales price, which is totally fine. I took that into account in my offer, and so the website was listed for 60,000 ish. I think it's 60,000, almost on the dot, and I offered 49,000, all cash deal, do it quickly, and I found out later that afternoon that he accepted it. So without speaking to him, just with the tools Empire Flippers gave me, I felt confident to throw out a number and to get it done.
Now, I think because some people that are listening here are thinking that that maybe that wasn't perhaps a wise choice because of the patience game, right?
Yeah.
What how does the system work then? Like, what made you think that the deal was going to get taken away from you if you didn't act on it?
So I had just been watching the market for every Monday for 4 months. So I had a really good sense of what was selling and what wasn't, and the price ranges and the niches and things like that. We were also, this was right before the New Year's. So I think the holiday really helped me because people weren't as focused this week with the holiday coming up, whatever festivities. So I think that really helped. But I just knew, I just had a gut feeling looking at it that this was going to be a wise investment. I'm very financially savvy. I don't rush into financial decisions. But I also had been looking at sites for 4 months, so I knew if I let this one pass, how many more months could it be before I find another one? Maybe never. I don't know. So I took the plunge, and they actually have, I need to correct myself. I guess I found out the following morning that it was accepted, because if you submit an offer that's under full price, they circulate that offer to anybody else that deposited on the website for 24 hours as a way to get more money for the seller. I don't know if other people hadn't deposited on it because we were coming up to a holiday or what the story was. But yeah, I got that call that I got in it. And, before that, you had to send your money because it's the first one to get their money in there that actually gets it if there's like a race between. So I had sent my money to this company that I didn't know anything about. I sent them $49,000 that I only talked to once on the phone. So that was a little nerve wracking. It worked out, and then I got the call the next morning that it was mine. So I was ecstatic.
Oh, so you sent the money to the escrow
Yeah,
before anything, just so that you could have a faster deal. Is that why?
correct. And I wanted to show that, hey, I am liquid. I am a no nonsense buyer. I'm not here to waste anybody's time. I want it. Let's do it. Here's my money.
Okay.
Um, and I think those were all good strategies and why I was able to get it at a little bit of a discount. And so if you really want something, you need to make it very clear that you're serious. And so I did everything that I could to show my intent of being serious. And I knew if I was a seller and the roles were reversed, I would have felt really comfortable with a buyer doing that to me.
Gotcha. Um, so in this particular deal, then, in this particular deal, there wasn't necessarily any negotiation, right? You just kind of put your offer on, and they
Yeah,
accepted it. Is that how it ended up being?
I believe so. I think I just offered 49 and he ended up accepting it. There was no really back and forth. Um, I think I felt like looking at the numbers, I felt that was fair. I wasn't trying to like lowball anybody, and obviously he felt that that was a fair valuation also, which is why he said yes pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah. I mean, plus all cash deals. I mean, we could open up the whole can of worms in terms of deal structures and things like that. But
Yeah,
of course, if you're going to offer more cash, then likely you'll get a discount if you figure out why they want it.
totally. Yep.
So what happened? So you bought. I think you got the site on January 1st, right? Is that
That's
correct?
when I found out that it was mine. Was
Okay.
January 1st. So that was kind of cool. Then again, I think timing was really important. I think had it been 2 weeks later into January, it might have sold for full price. I don't know, but yeah, January 1st, which is a good way to you can. There's no easier day to start your books, right? Like for tax reasons and everything. The business started on January 1st, so that made it really easy to calculate everything.
What did you do once you found out the site was once you found out that the offer was accepted on your end? Like what happened? Like besides jumping up and down,
Yeah.
obviously.
Well, I called a couple friends that knew what I was doing. I said, well, I just spent basically $50,000 on an online asset that's not tangible. I don't know if I'm crazy or not. And then I called a programmer friend of mine that I had worked with in the past in my app days. And I asked them, I was like, hey, could I put you on a little bit of a monthly retainer? And I know there's going to be some programming needs. I want you to look at the back end, look at the stuff that I don't know, and just help me out. So I put them on a little bit of a retainer starting day one, just to help out with programming things, UI changes, things that I couldn't do. I also spent hours and hours reading as much SEO content that I could from a bunch of different places because I knew that in a couple weeks after escrow closed, I was going to be solely in control, and the success or failure was going to be directly like in my hands. So migration takes a couple weeks, like we talked about. So in that time, I was just getting prepared. I was looking at the site, getting familiar with all the functions, and just getting myself mentally ready to tackle. I made a to-do list on a whiteboard, and I just wanted to start knocking things off my list.
So was there any point where you were doing further due diligence into the deal? Because obviously,
Yeah,
if the deal's accepted, it's
yeah,
not actually done until the money's
correct.
sent over, right? So was there, because that in that transfer period, were you performing due diligence further?
I was performing due diligence. I was also like setting if I had to create any new affiliate accounts that didn't come. So some websites come with affiliate accounts. Sometimes the owner keeps them, so all the links have to be switched. So I was creating some new accounts there. Um, I was doing due diligence, making sure that the income that was stated was actually true, and it was totally. But yeah, I was checking all that, keeping track of, I was taking screenshots, just everything that I needed to make sure that it all matched up. So there was some definitely work involved on my end in the process, but it wasn't work like that I had to, it was good work. It was work to make sure that I had purchased a good asset and that my money was safe. So I
How
was
much
really
was
good.
the site earning? How much was the site earning when you bought it?
I think it was about 17 or $1,800 a month average. And when I sold it, I had got it to I basically doubled it. Just
Okay.
under doubled it. So 17. So my whole focus of buying a site like this was to buy a site, build it up, and get it to pay a mortgage. That was always my goal. It'd be so cool to have a website that pays your mortgage, and basically all the other money you make, you can save in all other ventures. So that was my goal going into it. Well, $1,800 a month doesn't pay a mortgage in San Diego. It's you're working your way up to it.
Was the site a WordPress site when you?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's another thing that I was looking for was WordPress sites. Not that I ever had experience with it. I just knew there was a lot of content on the internet, plugins. I could get ample help if I needed to, if it was running on WordPress.
So you must know WordPress better now, I'm guessing.
Oh, I feel so confident. Like if someone has a problem with their WordPress site, I hear just give it to me. I'll get it fixed. But the month or two or whatever, it's pretty daunting. Like there's a lot going on in the back end with all the plugins, and then uh, you can enter in some manual code and things like that. So page design, it was daunting, but you just take it one step at a time.
Yeah, yeah. I've been using WordPress for a while now, enough that I'm very, very, very comfortable with it. So
Yeah,
then when I always forget when people see it for the first time how daunting it can be, because to me WordPress is the choice to do it. But of course,
yeah,
some people choose like a Wix site or whatever site, not for their affiliate sites, but just
yeah.
in general. So I can
And
see.
those are great too for if you have just a small business and things like that. Um, but for like more robust stuff like what we do, you need more functionality.
Through the transfer of the sale, were there any hiccups that you came over?
No hiccups. I just thought Empire Flipper sells a lot of sites, and I thought the process could have been a little bit quicker. They focus on a lot of deals, so they have a team, that's working on this, then working on that. I felt like it could have been, done in a little more speedy amount of time. But other than that, no, there was no issues. So if that's the worst thing, then that's awesome.
All right. Then let's move on to the fact that now everything's transferred over. Hosting,
Mhm.
you own the domain. You assuming maybe you have previous insight into the analytics and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
the site's yours. It's 100% yours now. What are you doing at this point? So you've got your friend on retainer to
Yes.
help you out with some of the tech stuff because you haven't done this before. So
Correct.
what do you start doing now? Like what's it, if you could break down every month that, like if you could break down in months like what you did, that would be
Yeah.
fantastic, I think, because you didn't end up keeping the site for too long. So it'll
No.
walk us through that.
I only kept it for 4 months. So it was actually a kind of a unique situation. The website focused on tech reviews, so like drones, 3D printers, action cameras. So the previous owner had built a relationship with a large tech distributor manufacturer that would send him products to review. So the site got thousands of dollars a month in free tech products. Then the site would review them, post the reviews, and then add affiliate links directing back to that company. Well, he had set up a couple writers that were around the world where, because these reviews take a lot of time, they're really in depth. So he would just have like a 3D printer shipped to a gentleman in Europe. The gentleman would get the printer, review it, get to keep the printer, and then send us the review. So when I acquired the site, it had three basically writers that weren't paid, that were paid in free product, which that gave me time to, I didn't actually have to write the reviews. I was just sent them in Word docs, and then I would have to go and format them, add all the links and things like that. So month one was getting familiar with posting reviews and formatting them correctly, inserting affiliate links, and just making it look aesthetically pleasing to drive conversions and to get that to like start getting those reviews ranked organically. So that was kind of month one. I posted probably 5 or 6 reviews just so that I could get a real good feel of that. At the same time, I had made some user experience changes, like I restructured the menu just to make it a little more easier for navigation. There was a deals and coupons section of the website, so I rolled that out because that manufacturer would give us coupon codes and deals, and I would update that, and I would drive traffic to those. So if someone would click on it, they would automatically get a coupon code attached to their checkout for this company, which that was great because it drove a lot of conversions. So that was kind of month one, was just getting familiar, posting content. Month two was finding out what content was earning the most money, and I actually found like 3 or 4 articles that were driving a large amount of the profitability. The website had probably 200 reviews, but only about 4 of them actually made substantial money. So I created Facebook and Google ads to promote these reviews, so that if someone searched for like the specific 3D printer review, they would get my ad. Even though I was ranked, I maybe wasn't ranked number 1, I was maybe ranked number 4. So I'd have number 4 ranking slot, and then also the ad. And the target, I was targeting specifically the brand name and the word review. So those target keywords were pretty cheap to target because there wasn't a lot of competition. And I saw, I did the calculation. So using AdWords, my affiliate sales and revenue increased by 59% by promoting those articles with ads. So that was unbelievable. So that was like month 2. Month 3 was, well, when I had bought the site, I didn't realize that I needed a AdSense account to be able to host Google Ads. I didn't know I needed an approved account prior, and I didn't have one, so I wasn't able to host AdSense ads on my website. But I didn't want to lose that money because it was making a couple $100s a month when he sold it with AdSense ads. So I reached out to manufacturers directly and sold an ad package to these companies that we were representing on the website. And they could buy side banners, top banners, website pop-ups. I offered giveaways, things like that. And those packages, I think, I made 3 times the amount of money selling ads directly than I was making with my AdSense ads. And then month 3 into month 4, I created a couple more articles that I knew would be big money makers because the products that we were talking about had really good affiliate programs. They weren't competitive. I was able to get those to rank. So I know that was a lot of info, but that was kind of a quick overview of what the 4 months look like.
I guess 2 things stick out to me is the Google ads, which I don't think anyone has talked about on the show before, and sponsored ads where you manually go and form relationships and partnerships with those. So going back to the first part with Google ads, what made you do that? Because I don't think a lot of people think about that, right? Like, even though it's very obvious in this sense.
I don't remember what actually made me think of it, but I kind of wanted to look at the website as a business, and what businesses do? They promote. So I didn't want to rely. I mean, organic traffic's awesome, right? But I wanted to see, hey, is there another way? It wasn't through Instagram posts. I didn't have an Instagram following. So what's another way? Well, it was ads. So let me just try it. Nobody told me I should try ads. I just know, we see ads every single day when we do a Google search and things like that. It's like, well, let me just see what happens. And I think literally overnight, my earnings, it was night and day difference. So I compared 2 weeks of running Google ads to 2 weeks of no ads. And in the 2 weeks without ads, I did $12,000 in affiliate sales. The following 2 weeks with ads, I did over $20,000 in affiliate sales. And and this was in the month of March. So I didn't change anything on the website during those 2 weeks because I tried to get it as identical so that it was like a true test. There was no holidays or anything like that to skew the results between the weeks. Um, and it was staggering. And I wasn't spending much money at all. I don't remember how much, but it was a couple $100 a month maybe to generate those sort of results. No one was targeting these keywords. So I think my Facebook ad was 1 cent a click or something like that, 2 cents. It was really, really affordable.
And that was a retargeting ad?
That was no, I just used audience insights, found people that were interested in 3D printers, specifically this brand. I knew they probably, it was an article about how to upgrade your specific 3D printer. So I said, well, if they already own it, so if I can target the brand, they might already own it, and they might be interested in like reading these upgrades. So I just used audience insights to create like a custom audience. Now I wasn't using the pixel.
Was the site mostly monetized via, actually, why don't you tell me? So how was the
Yeah,
site monetized? Was it monetized, you said ads plus Amazon, I'm guessing, and were there
it
other
had
affiliate networks?
yeah, so it had ads, it had Amazon, it had a large tech manufacturer, kind of like a Newegg style company, eBay, and AliExpress. Those were the five of ways it really made money. And so that goes back to having income streams spread across different platforms, so that if I lost one, I wasn't dead in the water. I had four others that would still bring in money. Um, and so because it was tech products, sometimes like Amazon might not sell the specific product. So then in that case, I would just do like an AliExpress link or an eBay link or something like that. Or what I found I think to be helpful was I would give people that were readers the option. You can buy it from Best Buy, you can buy it from Amazon, you can buy it from AliExpress. And I put the different prices. And as a buyer, I want options. I don't want to be told, oh, I have to buy it from Amazon. So I think that helped drive some conversions also.
Okay. Um, when you were doing these sponsored ads, trying to reach out to the manufacturers, what was your approach? How did it go to like, yeah, what did you do to close those deals?
So I created a media kit. It was a one-page PDF that had basically a paragraph or two about the website, a screenshot of traffic over time, a screenshot showing the demographics of the website, engagement, things like that. Anything that a marketing person wants to know at a glance, I try to provide in a one-page PDF that looked really, really aesthetically appealing. Then I would take that and that would be attached to the email that I would send out, um, kind of asking. The website already had some relationships with these companies since we were pushing their products. So getting a response was pretty easy. I already had some Skype contacts. And so I was able to just message them like, hey, I had this idea. I think it could be beneficial for you guys. It'd be beneficial for us. And by selling direct ads, I was able to control how the ads look. With Google Ads, they kind of serve whatever ad they want. You can kind of pick and choose a little bit, but aesthetics wise, you're pretty handcuffed. Well, if I'm selling direct ad space, I can make my own ad, or they can make their own ad, their marketing team, and just send it to me and make it super tailored for our website, and like the colors all match and everything. So sending them a media kit and some different pricing options, I think was key in getting them to say yes, or to at least get the conversation going.
What were the pricing options like?
Like for example, the top banner that was, I believe, $250 a month, if you wanted the top banner slot. Then I think the side one was 250 or 300 or whatever it was also. And one company, they bought all of those. So that allowed me to remove basically ads from, I was able to pull ads that were inside the articles, like Google ads. So now when you're reading the review, you're not getting interrupted with ads. You just got a top ad and a side ad. Then I had the idea of creating a pop-up that would say, hey, enter your email, you can win a free drone. So I pitched the company, why don't you do a giveaway? We'll do a giveaway. You send the random winner the product, and I will collect the email addresses. You get the email addresses. Everything's branded in your company name, and that is $600 a month. And that was an instant yes. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, actually, that's interesting. It's well, number one, it's interesting because in our last interview with Jaron, he was doing the same thing with these giveaways. But what you're saying is that you had them on kind of like a monthly subscription. Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, I wanted reoccurring. So as long as they were seeing results, as long as their ads were, and I was able to track it all, they allowed me to use affiliate links within the ad banners to kind of keep track of who was clicking on the ad and who was converting. As long as they were seeing value, they had no problem paying every single month for ad space.
Right, but I'm talking about the giveaway that you had
Yeah.
with the pop up there.
And so they were able to get email addresses, which then their marketing team would, I guess, take. And then, so each week would be a different product. So week one giveaway would be a drone. Week two would be like a 3D printer. Maybe it was every 2 weeks. So they would get these segmented email addresses. And now their marketing team knows, okay, this person signed up to win a 3D printer. Now they can target that person with 3D printer related sales and discounts and things like that. And I asked them like, hey, how's this working for you guys? And they said, it's awesome. We love it. So that was the last I heard of it.
So the how much? So you had three tiers. Like what? How much revenue did that bring in again? What did you say?
It was bringing in $600 to $1,000 a month in just ad space.
Awesome, awesome. Uh, in the call that we had before, you mentioned that you had a little script built. Do you want to tell the audience about the? You said you had a side banner script.
Yeah. So back to user experience. My thought was if you could serve an ad that was tailored to the content that the reader was reading, you might get a better conversion. So, for example, if they were reading a drone review, I don't think they want to see a 3D printer ad on the side banner, right? It doesn't really correlate. Well, if they're reading a drone review and there's a discount for a drone, my thought process, well, is that they might convert better because I already know they're reading that content, so they probably want to see ads related to that. So I had a script written that would change the ad on the side banner depending on the content the reader was reading. So I never tracked how this was right at the end before I sold, so I never tracked the increase, but theoretically it makes sense. I don't think it can do anything negative. I only think positive could come out of that.
Mm-hmm. So, at what point did you start thinking about selling the site?
When I was looking at the 4 top earning articles, and with the tech industry, products move really quickly. You buy an iPhone, next year it's already obsolete because there's a new one, right? So that happens with all tech-related products. So my fear was, as these 4 reviews or upgrade articles, as those products start to become phased out by upgraded items, the demand for a review for it is going to decrease. And tech being as competitive as it is, I was unsure if I would be able to create another review and get it ranked to where it needed to be to sustain the profitability. And then at the same time, my yacht brokering job started to, because we came into spring, into summer, that started to ramp up. So it was kind of both those things, like my day job requiring more of my time and knowing there was a chance that traffic could be starting to trend down in the next year. Those were both my selling, motivations.
Okay. How old was the site, by the way, when you
It was
bought it?
about 4 years old.
4 years old? Okay.
Yeah, and
Eh,
it had a lot of traffic. It was basically in the middle of it had been doing 100,000 users at one point per month, but it was down to about 50. And it was a gradual drop, and then it would plateau, and then go up a little bit, then drop a little bit. But you could see it was trending down over time.
hmm, interesting. And I guess so for you, you felt that I mean, it sounds like you weren't sure as to whether or not you had the skills or whether this site could get another review to
Yeah.
rank as well, even though this
Well,
site has already ranking for the other keywords.
I knew I had the skills to do it. I didn't know if I had the time or want to do it. Um, there's a lot of time. I mean, as you know, to get content ranked in competitive niches, it takes a lot of time to make it happen. It just doesn't happen overnight. And I didn't know if I didn't know if I wanted to spend the time doing that or sell it, free up a little bit of capital, and reinvest it into something that might be a little bit less time consuming. So that was my thought process. I never wanted to doubt that I couldn't do it. It was just that I want to.
Do you think that the seller knew this before? Do you think the seller was aware of this situation?
Um, Maybe, but I was kind of aware of it too. I didn't know to what extent. I mean, you just gotta. Everyone knows that about tech products, right? Like they're trendy. So I was aware of it. I think he was aware of it too. And same thing. I don't know if he wanted to put the effort into trying to create a whole new. It's a never-ending process. So even if I create another review, it ranked. Well, a year later, that tech product's going to be outdated, and it would be a never-ending cycle. And I didn't want to get into that. I guess.
So what was the day? What was it like when you woke up? Did you just wake up one day and you just thought, "I'm, it's time to
Yeah,
sell, sell the site"?
I talked about it for about a week prior. I'm like, I think it might be time to sell, but I also didn't want to sell myself short. I felt like I was kind of shortchanging myself, um, not wanting to create new content to rank it. Like I was thinking, well, am I self-doubting myself, or am I thinking about this in a really good business sense? And so I didn't want to shortchange myself. So I just kept thinking about it. I'm like, well, I think it'd be wise to sell it. So when I finally made the decision, I had already known the demand was high because of looking at all the websites. So I knew that it would sell really quickly. It was super clean. I kept track of everything. So that like just one day I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. That night I submitted it to Empire Flippers, and I think 2 weeks from then it went up for sale because they got to do a whole vetting process to make sure the numbers that you're saying are accurate. That's a really in-depth process, and I think it took about 2 weeks.
Okay, nice. Well, I'm sure it was much shorter given the fact that you only had it for 4 months and they already had the records probably from
No,
from the
that
last one.
definitely helped a bunch. They only had to look at a couple months worth of data.
So what was it like going on the other side then with not even it doesn't have to be with Empire Flippers, just in
Yeah.
general for the process. Like what was the differences between those, being a buyer and a seller?
Well, as a seller, you're trying to get the most money, right? And as a buyer, you're trying to get the best deal. So your mindset has to change. But you also know that sometimes your best offer is your first offer. So it's just, I think it's coming up with a number that you're comfortable with, knowing that if someone comes near that number, you're going to sell it. You have to take into account the brokerage commission too. I think a lot of people kind of forget that. Um, at this price range, Empire Flippers takes 15%. So you got to factor that in. And I had done the math in my head where I knew that I wanted an offer to come in at because I knew what I would net after their commission. Um, and I knew that I also wanted to be an easy seller. I just saw how easy of a sale it was to get it. I wanted to be the same way for my sales process. So I really wanted to work with someone, and if they were serious, bring me a number, and I want to get it sold.
What were the numbers that finally came out of that then?
So we listed it for like $80,500. was the list price. I woke up to that morning, I think to about four people had deposited on it, meaning they had received the profit and loss, Google Analytics access, things like that. About 2 o'clock that afternoon, I got a phone call from Empire Flippers that there was an offer for 65,000, I think it was. Um, I think it was like 65,000, somewhere in there. I said, you know what? I think that's too low. Um, he was saying, hey, it was a private equity company. They buy a lot of sites from us. They're really quick. They're easy to work with. I said, hey, I appreciate the offer. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's negotiate. I countered back at 75. I said, if they accept 75, I will waive the 24-hour circulation process, meaning they know they're locked in. If they accept 75, it's their site. They don't have to worry about someone else taking it. They took the deal, and we got it done the following afternoon for 75,000.
Awesome. So it sold for 75. You bought it at 49,
So I
and
made like 11. I think I made $11,000 or so in the difference between the buying and selling price after paying the commission. I made over $13,000 in affiliate commissions, and then thousands of dollars, just thousands and thousands of dollars worth of free product too during those 4 months. It was insane how much product the website got every month.
oh, so for those free products, then you didn't send those products to the writers then?
Most of them I did. Some of them I did keep for myself if I had an interest in it. But 90% of what I um, took in, I would just send to those guys. But whoever was buying the site, they could totally take the products themselves, review it, and then sell it if they wanted to. Um, so
Okay.
that was not that was factored into the selling price, but it was definitely highlighted as a benefit. All said and done, it was over $30,000 in pure profit in about 4 months.
Okay. Um, this is going to be a super backtrack, but it's
Yeah.
somewhat relevant because I forgot to ask it. But in the time when you bought the site, uh, was it did you did you question whether or not the relationships that the previous seller had were going to
Mhm.
transfer over to you? Obviously, the AdSense site or the AdSense thing didn't work out, but like
Yeah.
the deal with the um, I think he was a tech retailer or a tech
Yeah.
vendor. Did you know that
They
that was going to transfer over?
So he had told everyone that he was thinking about selling it and asked if they'd be willing to work with a new person, and they all said yes. The writers did, and so did the tech manufacturers, retailers. But there was always a chance that I wouldn't, meld with them, and so that was a concern of mine that we would just be on totally separate pages. So I would spend a lot of time to make sure that I was really um, not stepping on any toes and things like that. Because I wanted to keep all the relationships good. And then same thing when I sold it, I made sure that those relationships would stay intact for the next buyer also.
Did any of
Yeah.
those uh, relationships, writers between you and the writers and the manufacturers and whatnot, were they surprised by the amount of time that you kept the site?
Yes. Um, I don't think the writers realized how much money the site was actually making. They thought of it maybe more as more of just like a fun hobby. They know it was actually like making pretty good money. Um, the retailers were a little bit bummed because I had built, even though it was 4 months, I had come up with some pretty cool ideas and it made them more profitable, made me more profitable. Um, but then I tried to set the buyer up that I sold it to with some guidelines of how to like kind of talk to the writers, how to talk to the manufacturers, just so that when they took it over, they could just pick it right back up and then it didn't step on any toes either.
And you ultimately sold to the private equity company, is that correct?
I did. That's correct. So they manage a bunch of websites. People can invest with them. So they have a big team in place. It's not just me, like one guy. They manage a huge portfolio of sites. So this was not uncharted waters for them.
So in this entire journey that you had, was there one particular part that you thought was kind of the hardest?
That's a good question. I think the hardest part was keeping content consistently flowing, like getting consistently published. That I think, and that's also the challenge with Money Nomad too. Um, it's so easy to have content ideas and then creating it and then getting it published in a really quality manner. It was at least difficult for me as I wanted to deliver value. Like I'm really, really conscious about what I post and how it looks. So that was kind of the most difficult part was just creating really, really high quality content pieces that I can be proud of.
So with Money Nomad, a lot of that content is pretty much on you, right? Whereas with the writers on
It
the site,
is.
it's not on you. Um, uh, I, I guess for me, that's
Yeah.
that's what we do all the time here is
Yeah.
publishing content, and I totally agree that getting content consistently out is a difficult process, especially because it, it it can take a long time, especially if you care about the quality of it. So
Correct.
so now that you sold the site, you sold the site for 75. You sold the site for 75 and you profited around 30,000. You said,
Yep.
what? So what did you do then? Like what? So now you don't have you don't have this website anymore. So did you bought another
Actually,
site at this point, right?
before we were in escrow for the site that I was selling when I had bought Money Nomad. So to buy Money Nomad, I didn't use a broker. I just would send out, I knew I wanted a finance related website where I could talk about my journey. So I would just, using Ahrefs, find websites that kind of fit what I was looking for and just email the website owners to see if they're interested in selling. We got the deal going on Money Nomad before my other site was ever even closed. So there was no time where I did not own a website, which I think is good. I went straight from that website into Money Nomad, um, and we just used escrow.com to do the transfer. That was super easy, and since I had just been a seller and a buyer, I knew the whole process like back of my hand at this point, which made it even easier. So yeah, went straight from one right into the other.
What did you what kind of script did you have for reaching out to these sites to purchase them?
I said, hey, I have experience. I just sold a website. I want to reinvest some of that money into a website. I have experience selling on Amazon, selling websites. I want to share that to, kind of the world. I just want to share it, my story. And I see like you have a great audience built up. I would find websites that maybe content hadn't been published for 6 months or so, where I could tell that they weren't. It was great at one point, and they kind of just lost focus. Those were the sites I was looking for. So, it looks like your site's awesome. Would you be interested in selling it? I want to take it to the next level. And I got I think 3 responses that people were interested in selling, and then ultimately I ended up buying one of them. So that
Wow.
was I don't know if a lot of people think that they can do that. Um, if you like a website, email them. Worst they can say is no, or that you never know what could come of it.
I think most people, at least that listen to the show and have listened to previous episodes, I guess, would have the idea that it's possible. I guess for them, it's not clear on the whole process itself, right? So obviously,
Yeah.
going through broker, which is what most people do when they don't have the experience of buying a website, at least in obviously $1,000 for a site is not going to matter, but
Yeah.
when you're talking $49,000 for a site, that is something that needs to be professionally managed, and you
Yeah.
need to understand the process a little bit more. So for them, I think that makes sense. Buying Money Nomad was a smaller deal, I'm assuming.
It was. It was. It was less than I had paid for the other website, just because it was all multiple of what it was earning. Wasn't earning that much money, but I never bought Money Nomad with to flip it with intent to flip it. It's a long term growth that I want. I want to have this website for a very long time and just grow it. So even though the earnings weren't that great now, I know in a couple years from now I can have it. I think doing really really well. And going back to Empire Flippers just added, I think last week or two, a service where if you're doing a private party deal, they will do the migration and they will broker the deal even if the site isn't listed on their marketplace. So that's a brand new. So if you come to them with a website and you're like, hey, I got this guy that wants to sell his website. We want to do a deal. Will you middleman it? Empire Flippers now offers that as an option.
Do you know what their fee is for that?
Yeah, I know there's a minimum of $15,000 commission to them, and then but I don't know about the percentage breakdown. But a minimum 15,000, and maybe in certain situations a buyer and seller would split that. Because really they're protecting both parties.
Gotcha. So for when you bought Money Nomad, what were the steps then for that? So you said you basically sent the money to escrow, and what
Yeah.
happens in between then? Because you had to essentially handle the migration yourself. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I asked him for a spreadsheet of all of the affiliate programs he was a part of, and there was like 25 of them. It was insane. Some of them weren't making much money, maybe like $10 a month or whatever. And so I had to create an account for each one of those affiliate programs, which took a lot of time, get approval, things like that. That was pretty tedious. Then go in, switch all of the links to my new account because I have a different tracking ID now. So that took multiple weeks, but once that was done, I was able to verify the earnings. I had him create a P&L, much like what Empire Flippers does, because I wanted to see. And then I was able to, once I had those accounts in my name, I was able to verify the P&L document as being correct. Once that was all verified, we did domain transfer. I'm trying to exactly remember the steps. So you had to do domain transfer. You had to do affiliate account migration, and then he introduced me to a few people that he had worked with in the past, and that was about it. There was no writers or anything like that. So once all the affiliate accounts were transferred over, that was a manual process that we both did. It was really straightforward. And then we just put in our escrow contract the assets that were to be included, which is the domain name, the website, things like that, and just outlined some terms. And that was the contract that we used.
So hosting was at the same place as the domain?
I switched the hosting and had the domains transferred to SiteGround.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
he opened the domain up, unlocked it or whatever you do, and then it transferred into my account on SiteGround.
So once that happened and you had everything uh, and under your all the accounts, like the affiliate accounts were switched over, the domain,
Yeah.
the hosting, and you said that he introduced you to some people too. What was the reasoning for that?
Some of the affiliate programs that the website was talking about have like affiliate managers that manage a certain, I don't know if it's certain parts of the world or alphabetical order or whatever it might be, but there was affiliate managers that he had relationships with for some of the affiliate accounts that were on the websites. So he introduced me to those people, and then from time to time they will send me, hey, we just created a new program, you can be a part of it, or we're now advertising this. And it's good to have those relationships because those affiliate managers want to see you succeed. Because the more you succeed, the more they succeed. So it was those sorts of connections that he opened up to me.
So what's the difference between Money Nomad with the previous owner and Money Nomad now with you?
So he focused a little bit more on travel and like making money while traveling. Well, I've kind of shifted the focus a little bit into it was making money while being like a freelancer while traveling. So like posting your skills on Upwork and Fiverr and making money that way. I like to travel and things like that, but I want to teach people how to make pretty substantial money selling on Amazon and flipping websites. Whether you want to do that at home or if you want to do it in Europe on your laptop as you're traveling. So that's kind of my shift. Just because I have no experience being an Upwork freelancer, so I wouldn't be good writing about it, but I have experience with this, so I'm able to create pretty passionate content.
Awesome, awesome. Um, well, I think that pretty much wraps it up in terms of the questions on my end here.
Yeah.
Zach, do you have any final tips or strategies or anything that you wanted to mention to the HPD audience?
Yeah, so I actually, a lot of my audience talks highly of like you guys and the websites, the pre-made websites that set people up for success that might not have $50,000 to spend um, on a already couple-year-old website. I have a lot of my readers. I just don't have a lot of cash sitting around to do that, and so they come to like you guys and buy sites that already have an excellent framework, are already setting them up for success. They really just need to keep adding content and just kind of grind away at it. And I think that's a really awesome option for you're able to cover. You can help people that have limited budgets or people that have huge budgets. There's something for everyone, and I think that's just awesome. Um, Plus, I mean, you guys set people up for success. It's so easy to start a website, get halfway through creating it, and then never touch it again. Well, if someone just hands you the keys to a website that's a lot of the hard work's already done, I feel like the success rate goes up tremendously.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, I appreciate the kind words to that as well. I guess so that's what that's all that you wanted to mention then?
Yeah, it just you guys are doing it right. I get a lot of positive feedback through emails to me about the whole team over on your guys' end. So just keep doing what you're doing. You're obviously doing it right. Um, and for anyone that's listening, if you don't be afraid to, if you have an idea, go for it. Like I had no SEO experience, website experience, but I had the self-confidence and the desire to learn. So I think if you have both of those things, you can be successful whatever you set your mind to. You just have to stay dedicated and stay focused. It's really easy to get distracted. Once you find your niche, stay focused in it. So mine's organic traffic. I tried doing like Pinterest and things like that, and I just found that I'm spreading myself too thin, not doing anything well. So once you find what you do well, drill in on that and nail that, and then you can start focusing on the other things. Don't try to do everything, or I feeling it's easy to not do well in anything if you try to do everything. I don't know.
Awesome.
Is that good advice? I'm not sure. At least that's what I experienced.
No, for sure. Focus is definitely important. Well, I think we'll probably leave it there then.
Yeah.
Zach, thanks for coming on to the Human Proof Designs podcast. And we will see everybody next week then. See you guys.
Yes. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.